For many of you that may have already clicked on this video, already know that I'm a wrestling fan. Always have been, and most likely I always will be, no matter what happens. I mean, okay, minus 10 months I watched WWE, and I'll get to those 10 months down the road on why I stopped watching it. But now, okay, as I talk about this, it's already been out of the bag that Superfly Jimmy Snuka has been arrested. And this has came to light simply because of his autobiography that he released, or that was published, I should say. And it's kind of like, okay, now, yes, the accusation is that he killed somebody in 1983. Now that's beyond 30 years. It's 2015. 1983. Now, he was never indicted, he never went to court, he never had a trial. And then he comes out, yes, they took statements and everything, and his autobiography has something different than what his statement said. And that's why, there's something that didn't add up and they wouldn't arrested him. Wow. He wasn't a childhood hero of mine as far as wrestling. He wasn't. He wasn't one of those guys where I was like, oh my God, yeah. No. He was never one of those guys. But I grew up watching him, and he's very well known as far as the wrestling world. He's a wrestling legend. There are a lot of things that he was a part of that cemented the WWF in the 80s. And it's kind of sad to see this. But my thoughts and prayers always goes out to the victims and the victim's family. And I in no way, shape, or form condone violence, murder, whatever. That's just totally fucked up. But at the same time, it's like, wow. First of all, the only reason why I'm actually talking about this because I actually talked to a friend of mine earlier about it, and we discussed the stupidity involved with this with Superfly Jimmy Snuka himself as far as the autobiography. And we're like, look, this was years and years and years ago. Why the fuck would you say anything about it now? Why the fuck would you print anything about it? Why would you publish anything? Why would you even discuss that? We didn't understand that. We didn't really add that shit up. And for it to be different for what the statements that they took down all those years ago, it's yes, that raises some very, very serious questions here. So we don't know about his proof or guilt or innocence at this point. But then this raises a lot of questions that a lot of people are asking now as far as what's currently going on in the wrestling world and its past, as far as people doing some fucked up things that are either barred from the Hall of Fame or not in it anymore. Yes, you see where I'm going with this. You do. So there's a certain Canadian that's not in the Hall of Fame that a lot of people want to see there, and people are like, okay, if they keep Superfly in, then bring him in there. You guys know what I'm talking. You guys know who I'm talking about. Let's not play stupid here. But I'm just not going to say his name. I'm just not. But let's face it. Unless something really, really, really occurs, as far as the Canadian, the crippler, as far as him getting in, I don't think that's ever going to happen. I'm sorry. Regardless of how you look at it, unless they say, okay, we can bring him in, the contributions of his wrestling skill. But I don't think that'll happen for at least the next 50 years, considering who's still alive and who's still in control. Plus, let's think about it. If they would bring him in, that WWE will be eaten alive by social media, by every women's rights group, or like feminists and feminazis. Those are two separate groups. Yes, they will eat that shit up. The media will tear them apart. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter it's been years. It doesn't matter. Okay, try to discuss 9/11 with someone. Please. Doesn't matter how many years has went by. You do not joke about that. You don't say anything about that that's going to arise to anything really, really personal. You just don't. You stay away from that as much as you possibly fucking can, because that shit is still in our hearts, in our minds, and that still hurts. when you think about the victims involved and the victims' families, you don't want to cross that ever. Because a lot of people will feel very personal. It's like, hey, if that was my family, hell no, I wouldn't want him in there. If I was suffering, from a family member of mine suffering from murder and things like that, hell no, the one that motherfucking did it, hell no, I don't want any contributions going to him. I don't want him being acknowledged for any good shit. That's the way people will feel about this. And, I understand. I, once again, grew up watching the Canadian Crippler. But at the same time, even though that tragedy happened with the double murder and suicide, I just don't see him going into the WWE Hall of Fame. I just don't see it happening. If you disagree with me, please feel free to comment below. I would like to hear that. I would like to have a discussion with you about that. I'm not afraid of a debate. And then there's the current. Now, everybody knows the man that's held this, held one of these. Okay, look. He's currently blacklisted from WWE history, okay? Just because of some comments that he made. No, I don't condone what he said by any means. But he got blacklisted. Jimmy Superfly Snuka is still listed in the Hall of Fame. For now, there's no indictment, there's no conviction, there's nothing like that as of right now, as the time I make this video. If they do convict this man, who is probably, I think he's 72 years old right now, and he has stomach cancer, even if they don't go through a conviction, even before he dies or whatever, if they keep him in the Hall of Fame, then that will raise some serious eyebrows and questions and explanation points. I understand that, because they'll be like, wait a minute, you're kicking people, you're not allowing people in and you're kicking people out, but you let this slide? No, that shouldn't be the case. So we have to sit and wait on that. A lot of people are already at jump conclusions. No, you gotta let him in and you gotta have him back in. No, we can't do that just yet. You have to be patient. We don't even know what everyone's gonna do. That has to go to trial. And there has to be a conviction. There has to be a decision made. Somebody has to say guilty or innocent. That has to be done before any other thing can take place. So that's all I have. I mean, anybody have any opinions about it? I mean, like I say, murder and killing, yeah, that stuff is fucking fucked up. And I hope that the right people come along for, a jury, and I hope that facts and logic are brought into it, and if so, I hope that justice is served. So, wow. This is a wrestling video, so drop kicks, body slams, suplexes, signatures. This is the theme. And I'll see you later. Credits.